Travis, I know you were pleased with the play of all your forwards, but we had discussed the top six. I want to ask specifically about JT Miller. What did he do in your mind last night to elevate his game? And also, how important is he to your group just from an emotional and leadership standpoint?
Well, he's an engine for our team, no doubt about that. He's got an extremely high compete level. There's not many days that his motor isn't running hot. He demands a lot out of himself, demands a lot out of his teammates. I didn't think he was awful in game one or terrible. It just, he didn't connect on a few plays. We asked all our players to raise their game. And he takes a lot of pride in his game anyway. I think those guys know that they've got to produce if we're going to win. It doesn't need to be scoring 3, 4, 5 goals, but they got to probably get on the scoreboard for us to win the series. And they did yesterday, and he was a big part of it.
Moving on to Patrick Johnston, Post Media.
Hey, Travis. Last night, you were pretty positive about your team's play. Having perhaps watched some video, or are you still sort of as on a high note about how you guys performed?
Yeah. Why would I not be, Patrick?
1 second here. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was saying, I mean, you've reviewed game tape. I mean, I'm just wondering if there's anything that you saw that made you happier perhaps than you originally thought, or?
Well, I mean, I was pretty happy after the game. I thought we played a hell of a game. It's a fine line between the two games, to tell you the truth. I don't think you'd watch the video and say, well, wow, what a huge difference. But we found a way to create a little bit more. I think I don't want to say our battle level, but our compete level was very high. It was the first game, but I felt we were a little nervous. We've defended extremely hard both games in a physical series. But after watching the game again, I'm still equally as happy as I was last night, I guess is a way of saying it.
All right, Travis, I'm going to ask a question on behalf of Ed Willis. The question is, what have you seen out of Pederson in terms of his battle levels in his first postseason games?
Yeah, it's been high. I mentioned it after the first game, but I was impressed with his game. This is a young man that, is a young offensive, hopefully future top player in the league. He already is one of the, top guys in our mind in the league, and he's still getting better. He's still a young man that's learning to play in the league. Gets a lot of attention from the other teams during the regular season, has gotten a lot of attention so far through the 2 games from Minnesota, which is what you'd expect from a team that's trying to win. I think he's handled himself very well. He's competed hard. He's gone into hard areas, hasn't shied away, has shown that he can play this style of game. And he's been a really good player for us for 2 games here. And I'm always impressed with his skill level. And I think I've been anxiously waiting to see how he does at this type of hockey, and it's been impressive so far. And he's going to continue to get attention from the other team, and that's the way it is. All the good players in the league, they get attention from the other team during playoff hockey even more than the regular season. And his compete level is high right now, and it's been impressive so far. And I have no doubt about him going forward either.
Great. And then Ed just follows up noting that good players don't always play well together. What is it about Boeser and Pederson which fits so well?
Petey's a real good playmaker. Best likes to shoot. He's good at getting open. I think there's chemistry just with their friendship as well, which helps. They like playing together. They're good friends. And, I think in general, good players do blend well with other good players. Doesn't always happen, but I think we've seen this happen from the start.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to Ben Kuzma, Post Media. Second here. Ben, go ahead.
There we go. Unmute. Hey, Travis.
Hey, Ben.
I want to ask you about a couple of players who got in last night, largely through circumstance, I would imagine. Jake plays 8 minutes, drew a penalty, was great on that shorthanded back check on Eriksson Ek, let a heavy shot go. I'm curious what you think about him. And also Louis, most even strength minutes of anybody out there, a big part of your PK, going perfect last night, Travis. So just a word on Jake and Louis.
Yeah, I felt both of them played well. I think it's a little bit different situation. One guy's a veteran guy. One guy's still, becoming a better player in the league. I thought Jake was a little nervous at the start of the game, but part of that was because there were so many penalties. He didn't get out there a lot. But I liked his game. I think he'll slowly get better and improve. Probably play more minutes as we go. I think with Louis, he brings a lot of different things to the game that people don't notice. We can use him in a matchup role. I think Bo's line played a lot better last game. And whenever we seem to put Louis there, it seems to just solidify the line a little bit. I know if you talk to Bo, he enjoys playing with Louis. And especially if Bo's game isn't totally sharp, whenever we put Louis there, it just seems to help, quite honestly. He's a big part of the penalty kill. We got scored 2 times in the first game. I wasn't thrilled about using Miller or Pederson on the penalty kill the whole time. We do that sporadically, and when we didn't have Louis in the lineup, we had to use Miller and Pederson. You saw that not only is it our best penalty killers aren't playing, but they're also taxing as far as energy and time on the ice. And when we got down to so many forwards last night, Louis is a guy that we kind of spotted in, a couple other wingers on different lines, so his minutes kind of rose that way as well. And then in the third, we were down to 3 lines pretty well. So I thought both players played well, and we've talked about it at the beginning of the series. We've got 15 forwards that hasn't been easy to make the decisions. It's not like we sat there and said, this guy has to be out, this guy's out for sure. I said it a few games ago that we're going to try to dress the best lineup that gives us the best chance to win. We've done that every game, and last night we felt like that lineup gave us the best chance to win last night. And, we know we need to score more goals, and we did last night, but you still got to be good in your own zone in playoff hockey. That's a big part of winning. And, our team's done a pretty good job of that for the first 2 games. Knock on wood again, but, an area that's been talked about a lot with our group defensively. I think our team's battled hard in that area.
Thank you. Next up, Ian McIntyre, sportsnet.ca.
Hi, Travis. Hard to believe that was Brock's first goal in nearly 7 months. But he looked very good last night. He probably could have had more than one. From training camp to now, is this the best version of Brock Boeser that you've seen? And if you think he's evolved a little bit, in what ways?
Yeah, it is the best player we've seen. Out of all our young players, we're always talking about improving, even when they're good in their rookie year or their second year. It's important that young players continue to evolve and to improve and become players not only in their skill and their speed and their shot, but that players that figure out how you can win. And there's certain areas of the rink, I don't care what anyone says, that you have to go to and you have to be able to come up with a puck. And I think he's really improved in those kind of areas. He just looks like a more confident player with the puck, but also without the puck. Understanding small spaces, small areas that you need to go to, even understanding D-zone coverages that happen fast as a young player. Those are things that are hard to pick up, and they're valuable. You can talk about young guys and you talk about players that understand it. Manny and I talked about it yesterday, the difference between a centerman that's played in the league for 2, 3, 4 years to a centerman that's played in the league for 8 to 9 years, and their knowledge of the game. And I'm not talking offensive knowledge, but I think that's that's kind of where Brock is gravitating toward. He's just learning the game. He's improving as a player, his skills, his skating, which you want all your young players to do. But they also improve in other areas mentally, in parts of the game that, don't get talked about a lot. And that's why we've talked about our young guys playing in these type of games, how valuable it really is. And, and they're living it right now.
Next up, we have Jeff Patterson, TSN 1040.
Hey, Travis, Alex Edler's made a career of saying very little and just letting his play speak for itself. I mean, we all know he's not the most demonstrative guy when you watch him, but can you speak to the intensity level that clearly exists inside Eddie, even if it doesn't always seem like it from the outside?
Yeah, it's impressive to watch. He's got a lot of fire still in him, and you can see it. It's his compete level is high. He's been a horse both these games, and he's getting older. But when he wants to bring that type of game, he's hard to play against. And I remember watching Eddie when he was younger and the hits that he used to make, and if you don't have your head up when he's around, it's hard. And he's showing the young guys the level of compete and how you have to raise your game. It's been a good example for our young guys, and it doesn't really surprise us inside the room. Maybe from the outside a little bit, but he's a quiet guy in the room, but he's a real good leader, and he doesn't play quiet on the ice.
We have time for one final question from Brendan Batchelor.
Hey, Travis, just wondering your thoughts on Tyler Motte and his game yesterday. You've talked about some of your other key penalty killers, but he actually ends up playing more shorthanded minutes than even strength minutes in the game yesterday, and was a big part of your success there as well.
He is. He's not a guy that I get asked a lot about, but he brings a lot of energy to our game, sandpaper, grit, speed. He is a good penalty killer. He'll block a shot. Those are all things that you need to win in the playoffs, and you need players like that. Anytime you see teams win, the stars always seem to get talked about, but the guys at the bottom end of the lineup, they put a lot of grunt work in, a lot of sacrifice, and he's one of those guys that, it's not a job that gets a lot of praise, but it's a job that their teammates really hold high in value and appreciate, and know that if you don't have that, you're not going to win